Anyways, yeah, happy April Fools. Yeah, I'm gonna let some of you guys figure it out. And if you can't, check the pin comment. Or not even the pin comment, just check the comments, right? You guys will know when you know, right? When you're watching this video, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyways, today we're going to be looking at Bready, Miranda, and Milk's reviews, pros and cons, because surprisingly, this is all by Pride Win. I haven't tried out Milk's favorite item, and I haven't tried out Miranda's favorite item. So I am curious about these two, and we're going to take a look at Bready, right? Like I said, you guys probably, I mean, if you don't already know, you've probably clicked on this video because of a different title, and because it is April Fool's, I'm getting away with it. I'm telling you, April Fool's is the best day for any YouTuber because they can get away with any type of title without any backlash. You cannot say nothing to me during April Fool's. You know, I just love April Fool's. I had to wait a whole year for this to happen, but yeah, I love April Fool's on YouTube specifically because I can do whatever I want and without getting any backlash. I think let's first take a look at Milk, because I think Milk was someone that a lot of people were excited for, but they let down. Like, basically, if you don't know the lore, Milk's favorite item was just a slight booster. It was nothing more, nothing less. It was a slight booster. She really is not that good. Like, genuinely, she's not good. Look at her rankings. In low deficit and high deficit, B. In campaign. Bossing and PvP, C tier. That's a favorite item character. This character is the definition of dead forever, because favorite items were the last chance, essentially, until they introduced like some new, like some type of super easy like Dokkan. Favorite items was the last chance as of right now to like revive a dead character. And Milk has always been a garbage character. Like, genuinely, she's always been garbage. So it's unfortunate that she got a favorite item and it didn't help her whatsoever. I do want to look at the pros and cons. We're going to take a look at some of the teams. I don't really care about the teams, but I do want to see the pros and cons, right? So pros, she is now a 20-second cooldown unit, because before she was a 40-second cooldown character, right? Only burst 1 water CDR along from Dorothy. Albeit not as efficient or effective. Sure, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. And then also attack buffs are automatic and can be triggered off burst. Great. Cooldown reduction can be triggered off burst. Great. Insane HP potency on top of life steal. Sure. And then healer CDR question mark. Right. I think those are good pros. Cons: questionable cooldown reduction value and requirement. Sure. This is the only thing like I never understand. I'm not trying to come after Pride when they put these, but it's like your pros are everything that has to do with cooldown reduction, just because like she has cooldown reduction, but then your first line is that cooldown reduction value and requirements are questionable. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, does that contradict it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, do you guys get what I'm getting at? How can your, I'm not saying how can, but like, it's weird when your pros are all this about the CDR, but then your first con is to get the CDR, it's questionable, or just the CDR value and requirement is questionable. You know what I mean? Attack buffs are irregular and may not coincide with powerful attacks, and that's the same thing with like attack buffs are. I guess that's a general pro, but like, you know, I don't know. Crit damage value is low, and even then, a buff type itself is weak. Burst damage is low. Expensive, requires 2 dupes on top of base copy and SA15 favorite item, or SR15 favorite item. Sure. Fickle. Impact may change easily from time to time. Worst of the 4 treasures this season. Worst of the treasures in general. I don't even, like, saying this season is generous, right? But yeah, I do agree. I think her favorite item, I don't even need to use her to tell you guys her favorite item was not good, right? But hey, Milk, these are some of her teams. Dala, Grave, you know, Helm. I guess this is just a fire team, right? This is my go-to fire team. Right? Not these exact characters, but Modernia is definitely my burst 3 flex character. Shotgun team with cooldown reduction, so Milk, your burst 2, which is most likely Leona. Probably made Privity or even favorite item Drake now with that flex burst 3, and then Tove. And then your PvP comp, nobody's using Milk. I don't want to say nobody's using Milk in PvP, but you're probably not going to. Like, just keep it a buck, right? So yeah, those are Milk's pros and cons. I think they did her horrible. I'm curious about Miranda's, right? What's her rankings and then her pros and cons? A, and B. So she's A in low deficit and high deficit story. A, bossing. B, PvP. Great. Let's take a look at her pros and cons before we go to her teams. Pros: guaranteed crits for 1 shot after burst. Great synergy with Snow White, Maxwell, and Amelia and opens up a lot of potentials. Strong niche. Attack buffs now apply to 2 units, making her more universal. Um, Personal damage increase. Quite cheaper to build skill wise compared to recent release because S1 can be ignored and you only need to build up the S2, which is skill 2 and burst skill. Usable at phase 2, which I do like they added that. Restricted to Snow White slash media for best potential. Yeah, but I don't think that's a con though. Like I know it sounds like a con, but it's not. It's like saying Trina. I don't know. It's kind of like saying Trina, and people might I might be contradicting myself when I say this, but like saying it's like saying Trina is one of her con is that she doesn't work at anybody else but Scarlet. But it's like her entire kit from the jump was made for Scarlet. You know what I mean? If that's the case, it's like you might as well just. What I'm trying to get at is everybody's con essentially would be that they don't work with every character in the game, right? And I'm not saying that's what Pride One is trying to say here, but I'm just saying like to say that a character is restricted to certain characters for the best potential is like, you know, I feel like if that's just how it is, I don't think that's a con, to be honest. I just think that's just how it is, right? It's like you can't expect everybody to buff up every character in the game, genuinely. But I'm not saying again Pride One is expecting that, but you guys probably get what I'm trying to get at, right? Costly to build overall as it requires SR $15. Guaranteed crits can be triggered, can trigger the wrong allies. If the ally you want to be targeted can target the wrong ally. If the ally you want to target wants to be targeted has an attack lower than someone else. Sure, that's a very good con. Like that's just like that's a valid con when I'm getting at. Well, influential, quite niche in PvE and PvP, as her presence is not needed all the time. Helm's treasure and Drake's treasure upgrades overshadows hers. Okay. Still no CDR. Burst 1 without CDR usually has interrogation issues. Phase 3 does not help DPS damage. Okay. You know, I feel like it's valid. Let's take a look at some of her teams. Yeah, I mean, I do think you're using Miranda with like Snow White Maxwell. That's really what I do think. I think if you're using her, it is Snow White and Maxwell realistically. Other than that, I don't really see why. I don't want to say I don't see why you would use her because you can use her with just general DPSs. Like for example here, Fire Away. Yeah, you got Miranda, your Burst 2, and then your Fire DPSs that she will help out them. Same thing with this, right? The same, like, you know what I mean? Here, general team. Miranda, Burst Flex, right? Probably Burst 1, and then 2 Burst 3 in a Flex. Like, you know what I mean? You got options. So, I respect it. I do respect it. I respect it, right? And then let's take a look at Bready's real quick. What is Bready's tiers? Okay. E in PvP, expected. B and B in low deficit and high deficit, and an S in bossing. I'm surprised she's not S in bosses, but sure. I'd not like I don't care to read all this stuff. I don't care. I use the character, so I don't need to personally. But hey, if you guys want to, I believe I do have Pride Wind's link to their website in my description all the time. So if you want to read it, hey, quick promotion to Pride Wind for free. But yeah, strong water, weak damage dealer for bosses. Has 2 modes, can work with 2 different types of damage buffers, which I really love. Has some AoE clearing potentials that helps against fights against certain bosses. Adds like Harvester AI. Love. Lots of personal buff, good to negate stat penalties and high deficits. Great. Damage taking debuff helps the team, of course it does. Black Snake Killer. She was made for Black Snake. Spicy Bonds episodes. Okay, that's all that little stuff at the end is not needed by me. Minimal impact in PvP, which yeah, I guess so. Because in reality, she doesn't really work until you use her burst skill, right? Because you have to still use the other people's burst skill to get her to work, in a sense. So it's like in PvP, it's not really gonna work out genuinely. Skills don't activate without certain buffs for teammates. Stuck with Maids or Summer Rosanna for now. And E-Leg, right? There's other options, E-Leg as well, but I guess people wouldn't consider that. The number of sustained damage buffers is low. Actually, we have 1, and most actually are all out of meta. Okay. A lot of self-attacks during her burst in recommended taste mode dilutes the attack buff pool. Sure. Mob clearing potential exists, but is weak since it's distributed damage. Sure. Not sure if it's worth building right now unless you are competitive, since collab squeezing most players dry and half anniversary is just 1 month away. Yeah, sure. I think that's valid. I mean, I don't think that's a con that you would write down on a thing that's going to be here permanently, but yeah, that's valid, right? The collab did just squeeze everybody dry, and the half anniversary is literally this month, right? The half anniversary starts at the end of the month, so I do agree with that. And then for teams, you guys already, I've done videos on all these teams. I've done this video, I've done this video, I've done this video, I've done this video, I've done all these videos, I've done every single one of them, so you guys already know all these teams. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think. Again, the title might be different. April Fools. I'm out. Bye.